So this month has been a really interesting month in some of my community engagements. If you don't know, one day a week I spend going through different places in the community, just checking on people in kind of a pastoral kind of chaplain role. And earlier in the month, and really kind of going since January, I've had so many people who are asking me spiritual questions, in particular about the book of Enoch and the Ethiopian Bible. Anybody know anything about the Ethiopian Bible? Book of Enoch? Yeah, it is everywhere right now on social media, right? And that's kind of my first thought. And people ask me this stuff, is that we've got a bunch of people who are trying to do social media theology, and that sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't work. But there's a lot of curiosity about this, right? So Ethiopian Bible, 88 books. Western Canonical, 66 books. If you're Catholic, you got some extra stuff in there too, right? But not up to 88. So there's this tension of like, do people hide stuff from us? Has stuff been hidden that they want to keep us from knowing? And and what does Enoch tell us? And what do we know about this? And then people who are so curious about the book of Enoch, well, you go, well, what you really should be reading is the Ascension of Isaiah. Huh? Because no one talks about the Ascension of Isaiah, although that also is in the Ethiopian Bible. But everyone wants to know about Enoch. And then comes the magic question about the Nephilim, right? And so there's all these big questions about the spiritual world, and people are having these big discussions. They want to know what's going on, and somehow they try to anchor it into the Epstein files and everything else. And it's part of the dynamic. But when you get to a space of it being about religion, like what Enoch is asking, these different things, what people are really struggling with is a disappointment with what they know about the Christian faith. When you start to dig, why do you want to know this? Tell me more. That's my magic question, right? If you ever come to me and we're having coffee, or you come in for like pastoral advice or whatever we call it, and I say, tell me more, that's a magic question. Tell me more. Why do you want to know this? Tell me more. And then they begin to tell you. And as you just listen to people, the thing that all the thread has had in common, really since January, but this month in particular, March, is that people really have a longing for God and a disenchantment with church. And I think that's a real tension for us. I think you see this on Palm Sunday. If we were to go back into the Gospels and watch the week that Jesus lived, and as he entered into the city and people placed the hosannas before him, why were they looking for someone to save them? They had the law of Moses. They had the forgiveness system that was laid out through Leviticus. There was an oppressive government, the Romans, in place, but there was this longing, save us. Hosanna, you're the one who's come to save. And I think people are in that same place today. They are longing for give us something more. And it was really easy when the church was at fault, right? Over the last 20 years, 25 years, how many scandals have broken? This church leader and that church leader and mega church guy this and denominational leader that, and they're all just failing, it feels like. I mean, the news never reports on the 97, 98% of pastors and church leaders who are being incredibly faithful across the country, because the 2% who get into the news for all the wrong reasons are way more fun to talk about. All the abuses that came out from Catholic scandals and different things, and like Southern Baptist pieces, like there is not one denomination on the planet of Christendom that is free from accusation over the last 25 years. And it was real easy when we could just blame the church for messing everything up. And then start the whispers of secret organizations, child trafficking and abuses, and everything that popped with the Epstein files, still not clear. And I think for people who were quick to blame the church for a lot of the mistakes of the world, start to see there's maybe the mistakes fall on everybody's shoulders at some level. I think you learned it from somebody else, a little higher power than Muhammad. Different conversation. But your institutions fail. And when the institutions fail, we begin to long for something. There's got to be an answer. And I think that's where this whole question about why Enoch this and why that and why this and why that, what about this and what about that, and we're looking, and we don't really trust the Western dynamic, right? That's where a lot of the scandal has come from, so we start to look in other places. And that's the very kind of system and that uncertainty of wicked and corrupt government, of abusive and oppressive religion. That's the world that Jesus entered.